Mrs. Parker bought her new Honda Civic in 2015. She had always taken good care of her car. And there were no issues for 9 years. But one day, in February 2024, the check engine light came on. The dashboard warned, check emission system, and check transmission. She sent her car to an auto shop to check. Mechanic told Mrs. Parker, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but this is an OBDII code P0741. There's a problem with your transmission. It's going to need a full replacement, which will cost around $7,000 to $10,000. No way around it." Mrs. Parker felt very bad because she didn't have the money to pay for it. She went to different auto shops trying to find a cheaper way to fix her car. But every shop gave her the same news. This was one of the estimated repair prices. The manufacturer also refused to replace the new one, or pay some portion of the repair price, saying it had passed 80,000 miles, actually 85,000 miles, and was not in the warranty period. But Mrs. Parker refused to give up. She believed there had to be a simpler solution. Mrs. Parker decided to do some research. Because her car was driving smoothly, P0741 was the only code, and she wanted to perform some DIY tests. Since her car also had the emission light on, she bought a catalytic converter cleaner to clean the emission system, and LubeGuard CVT to protect the transmission. But those didn't help. The check emission light stayed on all the time when driving, and the check transmission warning came after 5 to 10 minutes of driving. The car continued to fail 3 inspections, and couldn't be driven on the roads because the sticker expired. Mrs. Parker continued her research. One day, she discovered something intriguing, a mention of using an S-drive to bypass certain transmission issues temporarily. She decided to give it a try. She bought a cheap OBDII reader. P0741 was the only code detected by the OBDII. She deleted the P0741 code using the OBDII. Started the car from P to S, and then drove. The car drove smoothly, with no check emission system and check transmission warnings. After a few times of city driving, the OBDII still indicated the driving cycle was not complete. Mrs. Parker drove more miles, including some highway, driving over 65 miles per hour. The next day, at the auto shop, the mechanic checks her car. Mechanic: "Everything looks good, Mrs. Parker. Your car passed the inspection." So, if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, remember Mrs. Parker. Sometimes all it takes is a bit of perseverance and a willingness to learn. After all, if an old lady can outsmart the mechanics, so can you. Thanks for watching.